pleasure to be here and to be with you in these 2 days. So I'm going to talk to you about a journey that we are undertaking currently in BC to address the affordable housing crisis there. And it's revealed an unexpected barrier to women's access to housing, and that is the national occupancy standards. So that's why you have some handouts on your table, because it's a little dense what I'm going to be talking about. But it's a journey that I'm going to talk to you about in terms of the successes we've had with this project, and then I'm going to ask for your collective action to help us improve on the successes that we've been finding along the way. So specifically, we are a provincial association of 104 members across BC. We have folks in very rural and remote communities, and also in the Lower Mainland and Metro Vancouver, and there's some of my wonderful colleagues here today. They're doing the hard work, they're doing the frontline work. Our mandate is to support them. We are a membership organization that exists to support them. So one of the huge crises in BC is the affordable housing crisis, and it's reflected in your report that BC, sadly, has one of the highest rates of lack of access to affordable housing, along with the Northwest Territories. And as you well know, 31% of the women, as reflected in there, come into transition houses and then can't leave or can't find affordable, safe housing afterwards. So what was happening in BC was that due to the scarcity of the safe and affordable long-term housing, folks were staying in transition houses longer, folks were staying in safe homes longer, folks were staying in second stage houses longer because they couldn't get out, right? There was nothing available to them. So it was identified as a huge crisis for us, and so we as a membership organization decided that we had to take a new look at it. So we looked to try and build new partnerships, and we applied for a Status of Women Canada grant under the Building Partnerships theme and under the Gender-Based Violence platform. And so it's specifically building new partnerships, and we identified economic security as the platform, and we equated housing security with economic security because they go hand in hand. And we had the good fortune of getting funded, so that was remarkable in and of itself. It's a 3-year grant. It goes from 2018 to 2021, and we hired a wonderful project coordinator, Tanis Knowles. And the work that you see on the table is her work. So I'm here to be her mouthpiece, and she's really the contact going forward that is the expert in this. I'm just here to sing her praises. So the new partners that we brought into this conversation were the Co-op Housing Federation of BC. So that's the Co-op Housing Federation of BC, but they also have a national partner. The BC Nonprofit Housing Association, which is the housing association of all the nonprofit houses. BC Housing, which is the provincial funder of the social housing, and we also brought in the Van City Community Foundation because they were doing a lot of work on financial literacy and financial barriers to housing. So we brought all those folks to the table, and they were the steering committee, and it was new partnerships for us in terms of really reaching out to new folks that could provide us new resources and new avenues. So we started studying the issue, and in the context of studying the issue, we did focus groups, we did stakeholder interviews, and then we also did a survey. So there's, on your table, the colorful charts are from the survey that we did. And specifically, within all of those consultations with our folks, we found that the national occupancy standards was a barrier, a big barrier, to women accessing affordable housing. And so if you look at this sheet that has the colorful sheets, you'll see on the front page, it'll talk about the top barriers to affordable, safe, and secure housing for women, which are affordability, availability, and also family size, poverty. And then if you look on the back, there's specifically stats related to the national occupancy standards. So 90% of the folks that responded to our report, our survey, reported that the national occupancy standards are impacting women who use member agencies. And what maybe folks are familiar with what the national occupancy standards are. We were not. So what they are is they are a guideline. They're not they're called a standard, but they're not a mandatory rule. They're a guideline that exists in the National Housing Act that was passed in 1985. So, and they state that there should be no more than 2 persons per bedroom. Children less than 5 years of age of different sexes may reasonably share a bedroom. Children 5 years of age or older or opposite sex should have separate bedrooms. Children less than 18 years of age and of the same sex may reasonably share a bedroom, and single household members 18 years or older should have separate bedrooms. So this was affecting large families. This was affecting in terms of, and many of the housing units in BC and in the Lower Mainland specifically are not multiple bedroom housing units. So this was affecting women because they couldn't comply with the national occupancy standards. They couldn't find something that complied with it. And then the twist on all of this was if the Child Protection Agency was involved. And in a lot of these cases, the Child Protection Agency were involved. And they were saying, you can't move into this house because this housing does not meet the national occupancy standards and it's not safe. So that was an interesting finding for us. We did a little bit of research about what the national occupancy standards are, and that's on your table as well, the national occupancy fact sheets. And then we started to advocate on behalf of our member programs. So I mean, the purpose of the national occupancy standards was to avoid overcrowding and to address habitability issues. So it was part of the public health movement back in the 19th century, but it also had sort of a Victorian morality to it. And the Canadian statute is actually is modeled on some of the British law. So that's what we were up against. So what we're advocating for now is we're advocating for, and in concert with our steering committee and with our new partners there, we're advocating that BC Housing and the Co-op Federation and the Nonprofit Housing Association amend their operating agreements so that the national occupancy standards are guidelines, truly guidelines in the sense that they're not mandatory. We're also, in concert with the Women's Shelters Canada, Lise put us in touch with CMHC because they're the ones who are responsible for rewriting the National Housing Act if it were to happen. So yesterday I had the pleasure of meeting with the CMHC representative here. So we're advocating federally, we're advocating provincially, and we're trickling it down to our members. And so part of the reason why I'm here is to ask you if the national occupancy standards are having an effect in your province, and if they are, to let us know so that TANUS can gather all of this information. So collectively, we can make a difference in terms of identifying a solution to this barrier. And I am out of time, so thank you.